Chapter 11, With Evil in My Heart, I Will Take Revenge Anytime. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xianxia City, the Zhao family mansion, *bang, starred at a priceless flower pot shattered on the floor. Zhao Yue was livid. That damn Li Ming. The nerve of that nobody, that he'd heard Li Ming's response via the Snow Tiger gang, and considering the nice things he'd previously said to him, this Li Ming was showing him zero respect. Zhao Yue had always gotten his way in Xianxia City, even when he messed up, he could always pull strings and make it disappear. After his outburst, Zhao Yue said grimly, "Mr. Li, I want him gone." The old housekeeper sighed, looking at his young master. Young master, Li Ming's made a name for himself. Chief Constable Lin of the Six Gates thinks highly of him. If we make a move and tick off Chief Constable Lin, he could accuse us of treason. The Zhao family would be in serious trouble. And the big shots in the city? They'll just see us as easy pickings. Zhao Yue cooled down a bit. So what are we supposed to do? Just let them walk all over the Zhao family? How am I supposed to hold my head up? How can I focus on my martial arts? Manager Li paused, then said slowly, a 2-bit constable can't just ignore the Zhao family. Where's our dignity if we let that slide? So we go back to the Snow Tiger gang? No. They've been involved with us way too much over the years. One wrong move now could drag us all down. Then what? Zhao Yue was getting anxious. Were they really helpless? Over a measly constable? Manager Li stroked his beard and smirked. Didn't he take credit for killing Shui Laowu? He's got 4 brothers out there. They might not be thinking about revenge, but that's where we come in. We dangle a little something in front of them, and those bandits will do our bidding. Plus, Li Ming took down someone above his weight class, so he's gotta have some valuable gear. We deserve a piece of that, right? In the meantime, you just focus on leveling up. Your father managed to snag a chi seed from somewhere. It'll do you good. Zhao Yue's eyes lit up. Old Li, that's brilliant. It's just a shame I won't get to see Li Ming bite the dust myself. Meanwhile, Li Ming was debating whether to break through to the chi training realm now. Cultivation was the foundation of a warrior, and each major step was important. The 9th level of body forging was only a start. Once he entered chi training, he would unlock his chi C and generate true chi, making him more than just a normal human. Li Ming went over the steps in Yimu Jingnong, gathering his chi and blood, and focusing on his dantian. In this world, skill alone wasn't enough, you needed the right resources. To master Yimu Jingnong, Yimu chi was essential. Li Ming carefully pulled the Yimu seed from his pocket. Even up close, he could feel the Yimu power inside. A normal person could probably live longer just by carrying it. He needed to draw out the pure Yimu chi to build his chi foundation. Time passed. Li Ming opened his eyes, now sharp and bright, like a lightning strike. Whoosh, star. Li Ming raised his right index and middle fingers. Focusing, a wisp of green chi appeared, giving his fingers the power to pierce through anything, while still feeling gentle as a spring breeze. Yimu Jingnong had officially begun. High-level chi had unique benefits. His Yimu chi might not be the best for attacking, but it was perfect for him. Just now, the chi flowed through him, healing old injuries. In the future, he could use secret techniques from the Yimu Jingnong to heal himself or even others, and maybe even extend their lives. The Yimu Jingnong also claimed that anyone who mastered Yimu chi would be mostly immune to illness and disaster. Forget about being immune to all poisons, even regular ones would be useless against him. And if he could help heal wounds, he'd be a master healer. Even though Li Ming couldn't see his life expectancy, he figured he probably had another decade or so. Name, Li Ming, 18 years old. Cultivation, Chi training 3rd level. Martial arts, De Xuanwu Sutra body forging chapter, perfect. 3 slashes of the wind, perfect. Yimu Jinggong Chi training chapter, minor success 0%. He jumped straight to the 3rd level and quickly achieved minor success. This was due to Li Ming's body and understanding. He was a natural, making rapid progress. Normally, it would take time to consolidate each breakthrough. Some people with shaky foundations could get injured or even regress if they fought right after entering chi training. Ha! Li Ming clenched his fists, his heart pounding, his blood racing. Time to get some payback. Li Ming stood up, a gleam in his eye. The Zhao family hadn't bothered him lately, so Li Ming figured Lin Xianxia probably stepped in to keep them away. Most people would just let it go, but he wasn't happy. He might not bite back, but he'd definitely swing a stick, right? The next day, it was a dark and stormy night. Zuyu Tower, the entire second floor was booked for a private party. In the largest room, Zhao Yuwei held court. His face was flushed, a beautiful girl in his arms, raising his glass. Drink up. Everyone here today walks out sideways. Or you're disrespecting me. Zhao Yuwei was on top of the world, feeling like the last few days of frustration had washed away. He was living his best life. Now that he'd broken through to Qi training and absorbed good Qi, he could already see himself reaching Cangyang, becoming a Grandmaster, ruling Bluestone City, the ultimate boss. Anyone who ever wronged him would pay. I can't hold it anymore. Gotta go to the bathroom. One of the young men who'd been drinking with him collapsed before even reaching the hallway. Get him out of here before he pees himself. Someone yelled, and everyone burst out laughing. I'm going to the bathroom too. Don't even think about leaving. I'll be back to keep the party going. Zhao Yuwei put down his glass. He'd had a lot to drink, but he wasn't about to quit. A few guards stood up, ready to follow. Zhao Yuwei waved them off. What are you afraid of? You think I'll fall into the toilet? Of course not. The guards exchanged looks, then stayed put. I'll be right back. Zhao Yuwei snapped and headed downstairs. One of the guards felt uneasy. He glanced at his partner and followed behind. Zhao Yuwei reached the back door of Zuyu Tower. Someone seemed to be hogging the toilet, so he went into the deserted alley. He walked into the alley, dropped his pants, and started humming. Suddenly, a masked man in black appeared, hands carrying a powerful force, aiming to crush Zhao Yuwei's head. The gust of wind made Zhao Yuwei shiver. He didn't even have time to pull up his pants. He threw out a desperate punch. The moment they connected, it was over. There was a sickening crack, and the bones in Zhao Yuwei's right arm snapped. His forearm was useless. He dropped to his knees and let out a blood-curdling scream. Aya! Then the man in black kicked Zhao Yuwei in the groin. Aya! The screams were even louder. Zhao Yuwei clutched his crotch with his left hand, his right arm twisted, eyes rolling back in his head, kneeling on the ground in a pathetic position, and he heard the commotion on the street and the sound of running footsteps. Who's there? A figure rushed towards them. It was one of Zhao Yuwei's guards. Seeing Zhao Yuwei's condition, he flew into a rage. You dare, you thief! If Zhao Yuwei was hurt, he'd be in trouble too. Li Ming frowned. He'd planned to torture Zhao Yuwei before finishing him off, but killing him wouldn't do much good with this guy around. Without hesitating, he stomped on Zhao Yuwei, jumped, scaled the wall, and vanished into the night. Deposed Zhao Yuwei and gained 300 life energy. Li Ming, cloaked in darkness, moved like a ghost. He circled a few times, making sure no one was following, then changed his clothes in a dark corner, climbed back over the wall, and returned to his courtyard. He threw his night clothes into the fire. Damn, I didn't kill him. But that's okay. Killing him and making the Zhao family mad might not be worth it. Let's just stir things up first, and settle the score later. Li Ming's mind raced. At first, he wasn't satisfied, but he started to wonder if he'd made any mistakes. It was his first time doing something like this, so he was still a little nervous. After thinking about it again, he relaxed. No evidence had been left behind. He didn't dwell on it and went to sleep. Zhao Yuwei always pissed people off, so no one would suspect him. In the long run, Li Ming was confident. It was hard to say who would cause trouble for whom. Zuyu Tower, the attack on Zhao Yuwei drew a huge crowd, all gossiping. Who's got the guts to do that? I like it. Back in the day, I would have just taken it. Who knows who did it? That guy's always been a jerk, probably has a long list of enemies. Doesn't he have any protection? Ahem, the Zhao family is going to be furious, right? Maybe not. He's got an older brother who's doing well in the Qingyun sword sect. Chapter 12, It's Not a Big Deal, I'm Upright and I'm Not. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days, they can fly by or drag on forever. Ming was riding a seesaw of anger and contentment. He'd been holed up at home, deep diving into the Yi Muzhen Gong Qi training method. The Zhao family left him alone, which brought relief, but also a weird sense of abandonment. Morning broke, splashing sunlight across the world. Ming got himself cleaned up, threw on his clothes, strapped on his waist knife, and headed for the Six Gates. As he approached, he spotted a bunch of cops huddled together, gossiping. Ming's eyes held a playful, distant glint. Some even gave him a wide berth, like he was a rabid dog. This threw Ming for a loop. Had his past actions somehow come to light? Nah, no way. He figured he'd covered his tracks. That's when Lin Ping, the only detective around who didn't act like Ming had the plague, stepped forward, a smile on his face. Those guys are on the Zhao family's payroll. They're trying to ice you out. Ming's brow furrowed, but he quickly brushed it off. Why? Zhao Yue from the Zhao clan took a serious beating a few days back. Even with all the fancy elixirs they've pumped into him, he's still not right. That sent Zhao Changkong, the family head, into a rage. He's been secretly targeting anyone who ever rubbed Zhao Yue the wrong way. Hearing this, Ming was taken aback, but it's no biggie. Zhao Yue didn't die, and the Zhao's raising hell all over town has ticked off a lot of people. All this fuss from Zhao Changkong isn't really about getting revenge, it's about saving face, protecting the family's rep. It'll blow over soon enough. We're Six Gates, after all. We don't have to bend the knee to the Zhao family. So, I'm public enemy number one. Ming said, cool as a cucumber. Whatever, I'm playing it straight. Lin Ping dodged the question. Instead, he said, that my dad tells me you've got guts and a knack for this job. He's even pegged you as a future hotshot. He figures you're going places, but Dad's never handed out praise like that, but seeing you today, I get it. Ming's eyes flicked away. So he's Lin Xianxing's kid. No wonder he didn't give a damn about the Zhao family's clout. The Zhaos wouldn't dare mess with him openly, not with Lin Xianxing in the picture. But they could definitely stir up trouble behind the scenes. The cold shoulder from the cops. Par for the course. Gotta have the bandwagon jumpers. Ming glanced at Lin Ping, taking in his faceplate, a touch of regret in his gaze. Name, Lin Ping. Realm, 8th level of body forging. Entry, innocent heart, blue, bronze bones, white, passion, white, excessive indulgence, gray. Innocent heart, blue, sincere, conscientious, and dedicated in doing things, doing good and benefiting one party, doing evil. It is a great evil person. If you concentrate on martial arts, you will be unwavering and have a bright future. This is all about his state of mind. When you're in it for the long haul with martial arts, you need the skills, the chance, and the right attitude. But nailing down attitude? That's tough. Some folks swear by it, believing that someone with fire in their belly and goodness in their heart can go further than some natural prodigy. In this world, plenty of martial arts duds have still clawed their way to the top. This guy's got an innocent heart, sure, but he's also ruled by passion. His love life is a distraction from his true calling. Catching Ming's weird stare, Lin Ping remembered what his father had said about acting more professional, and quickly cleared his throat. Li, good news, your squad leader from back in the day kicked the bucket, so they need to fill the spot. This time, they're pulling from within the ranks, and picking based on who can throw the best punch. Every detective in Xianxia City can throw their hat in the ring. But, you know. Ming nodded, already connecting the dots. No official skill level is required to be the head honcho, but you usually need to be at least at the Qi realm. Some old-timers have reached even higher levels. Being the head honcho is way better than being a regular grunt. More power, better perks. The lead dog gets to form a team, take on solo missions, and rake in the big bucks. Ming's old crew. The leader's skills were miles ahead, so he got the lion's share of the action. However, because they were a weak team, they have received the least resources. Headhunting spots were always family squabbles before. A free-for-all like this was unheard of. Now, all the veteran cops in the Qi training realm were getting ants in their pants. Nabbing the top spot could give their training that extra kick. Lin Ping saw it click for Li Ming, and flashed a grin. You've got the muscle, the smarts. You could totally go for the top spot. When you're running the show, my treat at Yanyan Tower. The girls there are, top shelf. Li Ming shook his head, a hint of exasperation in his eyes. Not my thing. Firework girls? Nah, Li Ming wasn't interested. He might be a normal, red-blooded guy, but he liked quality. Why settle for fast food when you can have a gourmet meal? This world was getting crazier every day. Maybe when I'm stronger. Lin Ping just smiled and said nothing. They walked into the Six Gates. It was eerily quiet. The constables and captains were nowhere near as rowdy as usual. When Li Ming and Lin Ping walked in, they barely got a glance. They exchanged a look, didn't break the silence, grabbed a file, and stood to the side. A lot of people showed up. Half these guys are just here for the drama. Yeah, this competition looks rough. They were whispering when a middle-aged dude with a toothy grin swaggered over. Li Ming, how's your training coming along? Constable Wu. Doing all right. Li Ming eyed the newcomer coolly. This Constable Wu, real name Wu Shitting, is a bigwig in the power constable class, and is basically a nobody. Back when Li Ming's predecessor got his shot at the Six Gates, this guy was running the show. Saw he wasn't strong enough, didn't have the talent, and showed him the door. Li Ming was stuck sorting files all day until the new head constable hired him just to slack off. Previously, Lin Xianxia asked Li Ming for leave because he went home to recuperate, so that others thought he was injured in the Qi training realm and went there to recuperate. Don't be so formal. I was your evaluator when you joined the Six Gates. Wu Shitting flashed a smile. Listening to the conversation between the two, Lin Ping couldn't help but look up at the head constable Wu. His face was gentle, his mouth was smiling, and his eyes were bright. It seemed that he was not here to make trouble. And Constable Lin's here, too. My apologies. Wu Shitting narrowed his eyes and nodded at the two. You two are forces to be reckoned with. If I get the top spot, how about joining my squad? You won't be disappointed. Wu Shitting had caught wind of Li Ming's recent hot streak, and the chief constable valued his skills. He was confident in his ability to land the head constable position, and snagging Li Ming for his team would cement his hold on power. He hadn't expected Lin Ping, son of the chief constable, to be present. What a pleasant surprise. It seemed that Li Ming was indeed valued by the chief constable. Wu Shitting was even more delighted. Of course, he wasn't the only contender gunning for the chief constable position. Several big shots were in the mix, so bolstering his ranks was crucial. Sure, Lin Ping wasn't a martial arts powerhouse, but his connections meant that other constables would have to treat him with kid gloves. Lin Ping and Li Ming exchanged glances, and Lin Ping jumped in first. We appreciate the offer, Constable Wu, but the head constable position's still up for grabs. Let's not jump the gun. Wu Shitting frowned, shot Li Ming a look, and nodded slightly. If you're not interested, I won't push it. He turned on his heel and left. Lin Ping watched him go and whispered, that it? Wu's playing nice, but if he gets the spot, things could get tricky. He's not to be trifled with. Li Ming said, his voice low. Lin Ping smiled. I've got a feeling you'll snatch the top spot. Li Ming glanced at Lin Ping and smiled without saying anything. What's with this guy and his sudden faith in me? He might feel confident, but he doubted anyone would buy it if he said it out loud. Li Ming was dead set on becoming head constable, not for the glory, but for the freedom. Head constables usually recruited a team, nurtured their cronies, and hoarded resources to climb to the top. Li Ming valued the freedom of being a head constable, not having to clock in at the Six Gates every day, coming and going as he pleased, and only answering to the chief constable. He wouldn't need a crew, which meant he could fly solo, and get stronger under the radar. The silence broke as Chief Constable Lin Xianxia strode into the hall, radiating authority. All the constables stood tall and bowed. Sir. Lin Xianxia's face was like thunder as he scanned the 100 or so constables. He saw Li Ming in the crowd and a hint of approval flickered in his eyes. He boomed, A few days ago, one of our own led a squad of 10 to nab some crooks, but only one made it back. I'm beyond disappointed. In the Six Gates, we've always prized skill and strength. Some of you are lacking. I thought about pulling someone in from the county seat for the spot. But I want to give you all a chance. Even if your track record isn't spotless, if you have the muscle, you can grab the brass ring. Today, in the martial arts hall, whoever can beat the rest into the ground gets to be head constable of Xianxia City. The constables buzzed. The rumors had been swirling, but no one thought it was real. For many of them, this was awesome news. But a few were kicking themselves. Asterisk should have spent less time goofing off and more time training. Could have been my moment to shine. Star training gear was gold. With enough gear, even a pig can become powerful. While there is no hard limit, even bodybuilding warriors can sign up, but I advise you to be realistic. Swords don't discriminate. While you can't go out of your way to maim or kill, if someone gets hurt, that's on them. Anyone who wants to go, step forward. Lin Xianxia stood, arms crossed, watching them with a cold gaze. A beat later, 5 stepped up. The big shots of the force, the Qi training warriors, and Wu Shiting among them. Li Ming sized them up. They were all around the 3rd level of Qi training. Except Wu Shiting, who was at level 6. No wonder he's so smug. Anyone else? Lin Xianxia finished speaking. Li Ming strode forward, calmly cupped his hands, and said, "I'll give it a shot." A wave of surprise rippled through the crowd, especially Wu Shiting, who looked outraged. Did this bodybuilding warrior actually dare to compete for the leadership position? Does he seriously think he's gonna catch lightning in a bottle twice? It was like a mediocre student who had some lucky guesses and then said during the college entrance exam, I'm actually first in class. This was real life. Lin Xianxia squinted at Li Ming, a spark of surprise in his eyes. You actually broke through to the Qi realm? Then he added, with a hint of admiration, in that case, I'm eager to see what you can do. Understood. Li Ming was neither cocky nor timid. The crowd gasped. Li Ming had been playing possum. He was in the physical training realm just days ago, but he had reached the Qi realm without a word. Still, going toe-to-toe with veterans who had trained for years. Bold, but reckless. Several cops shook their heads. Li Ming was getting cocky, that they respected his guts, but they weren't holding their breath. Anyone who signed up for the competition had put in over a decade in the Six Gates. They had all the skill and know-how, just lacked the opportunity. Most just didn't want to be under the thumb of a certain family. Their martial arts and combat experience had been honed over the years. Of course, the real hotshots have all been shipped out. If a prodigy emerged from a small town, they'd be instantly swarmed by recruiters, barely get a year or 2 under their belt at Six Gates, and then get bumped up the ladder, sent to the prefectural capital or even Xuandu, the imperial capital. Being a cop in the shadow of the emperor was way more prestigious than being a head constable in the sticks. The perks were off the charts. Get in good with the right people, and you could skip steps on the way to the top. Wu Shiting's face darkened. He stared at Li Ming's back, his eyes like ice. Does this punk think he can get away with slapping me in the face? He was just a greenhorn cop. I wanted to make him my right-hand man, but now I wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson and then making him my right-hand man. The other contenders looked unconcerned. Li Ming just wanted his 15 minutes. Young and reckless. Been there. Time would knock those edges off. They would definitely be the ones to teach him a few things. Chapter 13, Defeat the enemy once and for all, and have a little bit of control. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How confident are you? Lin Ping asked, worry flashing in his eyes. Wu Shiting and those other guys are all top dogs in the sect. Even though he believed in Li Ming's skills, he'd just heard Wu Shiting had really leveled up his Qi training. He was way stronger than someone just starting out. Lin Ping and Li Ming weren't exactly best buds, but they were tight, and he didn't want anything bad to happen to Li Ming during the competition. They'd ticked off Wu Shiting recently, and that guy seemed like the type to stab you in the back. I'm reasonably confident. Reasonably? Lin Ping was surprised. He didn't recognize that tone from Li Ming. Don't sweat it. You'll see. Li Ming chuckled. These old-timers, thinking they're all that because they've been training a few more years, were underestimating him. Honestly, how could he even consider them rivals? Lin Ping scratched his head, confused. Li Ming didn't strike him as all talk. Soon, they arrived at the Xianxia City Martial Hall. A bunch of cops and onlookers were already there, all wanting to see these Qi realm masters go at it. To keep things fair and square, Lin Qianqing was letting the public watch, nothing to hide. Seeing Li Ming arrive, some of the younger detectives started whispering. Wow, Li Ming broke through to the Qi training realm fast. He joined the Six Sects a little over a year ago. The gap's widening fast. Seriously, when are we gonna be that strong? Another agent quipped. When you are, you are. The first cop rolled his eyes. Real helpful, buddy. Even if Li Ming doesn't win head catcher this time, he'll still make a name for himself. The young agent shook his head. Most of the crowd was just there to watch the show, not from the 6 doors. Most of them had official duties. As Li Ming and Lin Ping walked in, dozens of eyes turned to Li Ming. Everyone had heard about the young agent wanting to compete. Curiosity was high, and people were already betting on who'd come out on top. Wu Shiting looked annoyed when he saw Li Ming, but the other contestants just glanced over, then closed their eyes and waited for Lin Qianqing. Time passed quickly, the autumn sun was shining, and the sky was clear. Soon, the crowd outside parted. Lin Qianqing walked calmly to his seat and announced. The 6 of you, pair up and choose your opponents. The last one standing wins head catcher. 6 people were vying for the position, all Qi training realm warriors. Only one could win, no drawing lots, winner takes all. The last person standing takes it all. The rules were simple. No killing, of course. Seriously hurting someone on purpose was also out. I choose you, kid. As soon as Lin Qianqing laid down the rules, an older detective called out Li Ming as his opponent. Looking at Li Ming's young face, he smirked. Easier wins meant better odds down the line. You're Li Ming, right? The older detective asked. Li Ming nodded but didn't say anything. The older cop continued, you're not ready, but you've got potential. With some hard work, you'll catch up to me in 3 years, easy. Today, I'm teaching you to not bite off more than you can chew. The older cop sounded like he was lecturing a rookie, looking down on Li Ming. Done talking? Li Ming said flatly. Huh. The older cop blinked. Li Ming went on, good, let's get started. Right then, Li Ming reached for his knife. The older cop's eyes narrowed, and he attacked first. He stepped forward and slashed, aiming for Li Ming's vital spots, but to Li Ming, the attack looked like slow motion, riddled with openings. Li Ming easily dodged. The blade swung back, but Li Ming sidestepped it again. The older detective's attacks weren't even close. Just when he started to sweat and realize something was wrong, Li Ming moved. The older detective's eyes widened. Li Ming was too fast. He couldn't even react. Li Ming was already next to him, and his sword was out. The blade was already under the older detective's chin, the wind from the swing making him blink. A deadly chill washed over him. Anyone with a weak bladder would have peed their pants. Having a sharp blade on your neck in the blink of an eye will do that to you. The older detective opened his mouth, but said nothing. Remembering his earlier lecture, he wanted to crawl into a hole and die. He thought he was picking on the weakling, but it turned out he was the weakling. The arena was silent, everyone staring at Li Ming. 1 hit, 1 strike. Li Ming ended the match. 10 breaths, max. Li Ming's attack took only a split second. The match was over. The older cop took a deep breath and said, I yield. Thanks. Li Ming was strong enough to wipe the floor with him. If Li Ming wanted to get even, he could have left him seriously hurt. Seeing that, Wu Shiting's eyes flashed with disbelief, and his fear of Li Ming grew. But regardless of what anyone thought, the competition had to continue. The other 4 constables finished their matches quickly. Wu Shiting and another constable who was at the 4th level of Qi practice won. Life and death in a fight between warriors comes down to a split second. Who's stronger and who's weaker is revealed in the fight. Once you get to the Grandmaster level, the battles get drawn out. It's not unheard of to fight for days. The constable who was at the 4th level of Qi practice looked at Li Ming and Wu Shiting inside. You two decide the winner. I'm not strong enough to make it worth your while. He didn't have much hope going in. Li Ming and Wu Shiting both wrapped things up fast, and he knew he was outmatched, no point in embarrassing himself. Li Ming didn't hesitate and stepped up to the stage, Wu Shiting followed, and they stood face to face. Wu Shiting lowered his voice. Li Ming, step down now and I won't hurt you. I'll even treat you like a brother from now on. Li Ming's last fight showed he was ready, and Wu Shiting wasn't sure he could win. Things weren't going the way he expected. Constable Wu, you step down now, and I promise not to hurt you either, Li Ming replied calmly. Fine, in that case, I won't hold back. The swords will decide. Before Li Ming could answer, Wu Shiting moved. He slashed with his sword, simple, direct, deadly, a sword-drawing technique he'd been practicing for years. He only needed one strike. It was like thunder. Chapter 14. A real man should be like this. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Ming anticipated this clang. Their blades met with a resounding clash. No way. How could he be stronger? That Wu Shiting was knocked back by Li Ming's strike, his face etched with disbelief. He wasn't the only one stunned. The other officers, even Lin Xianxia, were shocked. Everyone knew Li Ming had only recently reached the Qi training stage. Wu Shiting, on the other hand, had achieved Qi training years ago and had recently made significant progress, reaching the 6th level. He was nearly twice Li Ming's age, yet, in a direct confrontation, Wu Shiting faltered, proving Li Ming's raw power was superior. Even those unfamiliar with martial arts could see Li Ming was in a different league. Wu Shiting gritted his teeth, swinging his sword relentlessly, but since arriving in this world, Li Ming had constantly honed his swordsmanship, with the sword and sword dual absolute skill. Each swing brought new insights. He effortlessly parried every attack Wu Shiting threw at him. Worse for Wu Shiting, his plan to win through sheer endurance backfired. After a while, he realized Li Ming wasn't tiring at all. His Qi strength remained constant. Wu Shiting pushed harder, but so did Li Ming. Now, Wu Shiting's Qi was nearly depleted. Li Ming, however, grew stronger. It was a rout. Li Ming wasn't fighting desperately. He was simply using Wu Shiting as a sparring partner to perfect his technique. Alright, that's enough. Li Ming muttered softly. There was no point in dragging this out. His eyes turned cold, and he moved with lightning speed. A surge of Qi erupted, and with a single strike, he disarmed Wu Shiting. Then, he stepped forward, his right foot slamming into Wu Shiting's chest. Bang! Ag! Wu Shiting screamed, flying several yards before crashing onto the stone floor. Under the gaze of the crowd, a match once thought to be close ended in a crushing defeat. Awesome! A young prodigy. The crowd erupted in cheers. Everyone loves a good underdog story, especially one as decisive as this. Lin Ping's face beamed with excitement. You rock, brother Li! He shouted, seeing Li Ming standing on the stage. He seemed like a god of war. This, Lin Ping thought, is what a real man should be. Lin Xianxia clapped his hands, his delight evident, and announced, the winner of today's competition is Li Ming. From now on, Li Ming will be the head of the 6 doors of Xianxia City. Lin Xianxia retrieved a badge of office from his robe, approached Li Ming, and handed it to him. Li Ming's name was engraved on it. See me tonight. You did great. Lin Xianxia chuckled quietly. Li Ming understood and nodded. Understood. The exchange went unnoticed by the crowd, who were in high spirits. As Li Ming walked through the crowd below the stage, he was greeted by officers bowing and saying, "Hello, Chief Li." Everyone was impressed. Li Ming, despite just reaching Qi training, possessed incredible combat prowess. His future was bright. Perhaps he would soon be recognized by those above and leave this small town. Now was the perfect time to congratulate him and build connections. It might become a great story someday. Even if they couldn't make friends, they certainly didn't want to make an enemy. If Li Ming held a grudge, they would be ruined. Seize Wu Shiting's chance to become the head of the police, severely injure him, and gain 800 life energy. Li Ming glanced at Wu Shiting, covered in dust, and thought to himself, in this world, if you don't fight and compete, you deserve to be bullied. Carry a sword in hand, and fire in your heart, you can get better. Several quick-witted officers stepped forward. Chief Li, when are you forming your team? Be sure to take me with you. Me too. Li Ming looked them over, shook his head, and said flatly, I'll think about it in a few days. I need to focus on my training for now. Hearing this, the hopeful officers lowered their heads and walked away. Li Ming smiled, then sighed. When you're down and out, people avoid you, but when you have power and status, countless people love you. After the greetings in the martial arts hall, Li Ming and Lin Ping walked out calmly. Lin Ping sighed. I can't believe you kept this from me, brother Li. You're so strong right out of the gate. I guess I have to call you Chief Li now. Li Ming laughed. You guys bet on me to win, didn't you? You must have made a fortune. Huh, you caught us, Lin Ping quickly said, how about I treat you to a night at the Yanyan Tower? The girl Meower there is gorgeous. If my dad would let me, I'd buy her freedom. Li Ming gave Lin Ping a look and said with a sigh, why are you always thinking about that? Haven't you heard the saying? Lin Ping asked curiously. What saying? Women only slow down my sword. Li Ming thought, but rich women won't, they might even buy me a good sword. If someone in this world gave me a magic sword, I could only repay them with my body. Lin Ping was silent. Before watching Li Ming's fight, he would have argued, but now, he realized Li Ming had a point. He inexplicably remembered his father Lin Qianqing's constant teachings. In this world, martial arts comes first. Brother Li is right. I need to work hard and achieve my goals sooner. Lin Ping said firmly. He was an idealist. He hoped one day to travel the 32 states of Daxuan, and find his one true love. Now, his heart was divided into many parts, and his true love was also divided into many parts. The sun set in the west, the Zhao family estate. Welcome, Mr. Lin. What brings you here? The speaker was Zhao Changkong, the head of the Zhao family. Despite his age, he had a vibrant face and bright eyes. He was clearly a skilled martial artist. It's just a small matter. I simply hope the Zhao family will remain peaceful and not interfere in the affairs of the younger generation. Lin Qianqing's words carried a tone of authority, spoken directly and bluntly. Zhao Changkong's smile faltered. He said calmly, I've heard about the conflict between the young ones. It was Zhao who was in the wrong. I apologize. But your disciple was harsh. Wasn't that a bit much? If you can ask your apprentice to apologize, this matter will be over. Lin Qianqing said sternly, I'm not going to argue with you. Your second son has been causing trouble every day. Is it any surprise he got beat up? Relying on the Zhao family's name and waiting to die, while still running amok. It's time for him to learn a lesson. My apprentice is busy training these days, he doesn't have time for revenge. Don't bring this up again. If your Zhao family wants to retaliate, don't blame me for being ruthless. As he said the last words, Lin Qianqing leaned forward, his concentrated blood essence almost palpable. His eyes were icy and devoid of color. Zhao Changkong's eyes widened, his face flushed. He hadn't expected Mr. Lin to be so disrespectful, especially on his own turf. However, the other side had the imperial court behind him. So he decided not to settle it with violence. The other party didn't seem to be joking, and Zhao Changkong felt his resolve weaken. His face was ashen, lost in thought. Lin Qianqing assumed the other party had agreed and walked away. The night was still, the crescent moon a hook in the sky. Li Ming arrived at Lin Qianqing's private residence. He knocked a few times, and a servant immediately opened the door. Seeing it was Li Ming, the servant welcomed him inside. Lin Qianqing had clearly given instructions. There was no condescension from the subordinate. Chief Li, Mr. Lin is waiting inside. The young servant bowed slightly, with a flattering look. Li Ming's ascent to the youngest head officer in Qingshi City had spread like wildfire, becoming the talk of the town in just half a day. Therefore, the servants naturally wouldn't dare to neglect him. Okay, thank you. Li Ming's politeness surprised the servant. Normally, important visitors wouldn't even acknowledge them. Li Ming ignored the details and walked slowly into the courtyard. Looking at the rockeries and pond, he couldn't help but feel a little envious. This guy lives well. Li Ming walked into Lin's study, where Lin Qianqing had been waiting. Sit down. Lin Qianqing smiled, urging Li Ming to relax. The more he saw of this apprentice, the more he liked him. he had already warned the Zhao family and would never allow them to harm Li Ming, otherwise, he would show those families why the 6 doors was called Daxuan Sword. Chapter 15 Grandmaster's Martial Arts, 9-turn Azure Dragon Blade. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Qianqing's voice was calm. Reach out to your contacts. I need you to find something. It's a sword technique. Called the Azure Dragon 9-turn sword. It's a master-level technique, and I've managed to get you a complete copy. The Azure Dragon 9-turn sword is divided into 9 stances. The first 3 are manageable, even for you. They'll make you a force to be reckoned with among lower-level fighters. But the last 6 are strictly for masters, don't even think about touching them until you're ready. Ideally, you'd activate it with Azure Dragon Wood Chi for maximum power, but your Wood Chi will have to do for now. Li Ming's surprise turned to disbelief as his master described it. Master level, martial arts were generally classified into lower level, master level, grandmaster, and legendary skills. The 3 violent swords Li Ming previously learned were lower level, the absolute bottom rung of physical training martial arts, lacking any techniques for chi training or essence gathering practitioners. This was a master level skill. Not even every master level expert possessed something like that, out in the world. Nah, you wouldn't even see it. Something like that would only be traded for equivalent resources or passed down as a family treasure. His master was just an essence-gathering warrior. Where did he get this? Lin Qianqing, as if reading his mind, said, "This is the real deal, not just something a master cobbled together." Of course, I believe you, master, but... Li Ming eyed his master, trying to figure out what he might have sacrificed. He'd heard rumors about powerful families paying outrageous sums for the organs of strong martial artists for research. Could it be? Nah, his master was only essence gathering. He wouldn't get a skill this powerful for selling himself, right? Maybe he landed a sugar mama? Yeah, that was more like it. Master was handsome enough to catch the eye of some rich lady. Lin Qianqing saw the wheels turning and exploded. What do you take me for, kid? Nothing, nothing. Li Ming mumbled, a little embarrassed. His master saw right through him. Forget it, I'll spell it out for you. The reason I haven't reached the Golden Core realm is because of an adventure in a secret realm back in the day. I got out alive, but my foundations were shattered, making it tough to improve. But I made the outstanding talents list back then, and your martial uncle was once in the top 10, and now the great mystic god is hunting him, Zhao Xuanwu. We're connected. Getting you a master-level martial art is no big deal. Lin Qianqing huffed and dropped that bombshell. The great mystic god, a martial saint-level expert, had to capture him, meaning Li Ming's uncle was a martial saint in this world. Li Ming nodded. Of course, master is amazing. They say everyone on the outstanding talents list is a world-class genius. Li Ming wasn't just flattering him, it was a fact. The Daxuan had a group called the Celestial Secrets Pavilion. They gathered intel and rated talents, creating 3 highly publicized lists: Heaven, Earth, and Man. Each listed 108 talents. The Heaven list was reserved for martial saints, all famous people, like Zhuge Wuwa, the governor of 6 doors, ranked 15th on the Heaven list. Everyone knew him. The Earth list recorded powerful grandmasters. Age wasn't considered. It just listed top performers with proven track records. The Man list was different. It listed young talents, under 28, sometimes. The top of the Earth and Man lists were the same person. After all, some people were just freaks of nature, hitting 4th level grandmaster by 28 and dominating the Earth list. Any faction with a top talent would pour resources into them, even the 6 doors would, to prevent being poached. As for the list's accuracy, questions came and went. The Celestial Secrets Pavilion was founded by someone above Martial Saint, with branches everywhere, so no one messed with them. Plus, they wouldn't just kill you, they'd expose your dirty laundry first. So, the lists had serious clout. Every update caused a sensation, spreading names far and wide. Li Ming knew the name Zhao Xuanwu, the divine catcher. Even after leaving Greenstone City, he'd still heard it. He didn't expect to be connected to master like this. Still, getting a suitable martial art like this wasn't easy. Li Ming vowed to return the favor, helping his master get back on the path to martial arts. Master, Someday I'll find the magic cure for you and join you at the peak. And my Wu Qi is good for healing too. Lin Qianqing looked relieved. It's good you have the thought. I tried Wu Qi before, but it didn't do much. I've been working on fixing myself for years and I'm almost there. You focus on yourself. I've got people looking for Azure Dragon Qi. It'll take time. Practice hard and try to integrate it once you've mastered your Qi. Don't worry about the Zhao family. I warned them. They won't send masters after you openly, but stay sharp. Lin Qianqing had seen Li Ming jump right into the police chief competition and win big. He knew Li Ming wouldn't settle for just Wu Qi. Integrating Wu Qi with Azure Dragon Qi was tough, but he'd still find that opportunity for his apprentice. Li Ming was thrilled. He'd been wondering how to get Azure Dragon Qi, and Master had already taken care of it. Connections really made a difference. Li Ming could only imagine the resources available to real aristocratic families and upper sect disciples, while regular martial artists struggled for bodybuilding exercises, Qi cultivation, and essence gathering. They could train in peace, focus on their character, and have protectors. Thank you, Master. I'll get justice on the Zhao family once I hit the essence gathering realm. Li Ming was firm. Honestly, the Zhao family threat felt like a thorn in his side. If he couldn't overcome a small obstacle like this, what kind of martial artist would he be? Good, you're worthy of being my student. Lin Qianqing stroked his beard, pleased. If Li Ming had begged him to deal with the Zhao family, he wouldn't have liked it, but he probably would have done it. Li Ming was his only disciple. He was picky and had waited 20 years to find him. Turns out, the Zhao family was just a stepping stone for Li Ming, which wasn't bad. Neither side took the other seriously, but they'd clash eventually. Lin Qianqing protected his apprentice but knew he had to face things himself. He'd provide resources and connections to help him avoid pitfalls, but that was it. Without trials, a person couldn't become a great man. Even royals faced bloody storms. Gods and Buddhas had to hone their hearts. If a small-town warrior couldn't outdo a privileged kid, what could he do? That's why he had high expectations. If his son, Lin Ping, couldn't change his mindset, it wouldn't matter what he said. That's why he didn't force him. Lin Ping was kind. If he didn't want to be a martial artist, he wouldn't force him. It was his job to protect him from hardship. Master and apprentice talked for a while, from martial arts to family. Finally, Li Ming used Wu Qi to help Lin Qianqing. It couldn't fix his foundation, but it healed some injuries. Lin Qianqing smiled and sent Li Ming home. Outside the Lin mansion, Li Ming looked at the moon. He hadn't been here long but felt at home, but Li Ming remembered the task his master had given him, to investigate the disappearances and deaths in Greenstone City. Lately, there were always some, but, recently, there'd been more. Although the Azure Demon Society was blamed, Lin Qianqing suspected there was a rat in Greenstone City. Chapter 16, Leaving Bluestone City, Undercurrents Surge. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Head back home. Li Ming opened the swordsmanship manual Lin Qianqing had given him. The first page had 5 bold characters, Azure Dragon 9-turn blade. The moment he saw the calligraphy, Li Ming felt a terrifying sword intent, almost suffocating. He envisioned a peerless swordsman wielding a guandao. A casual wave of the blade unleashed a blue light that blotted out the sky. It was incredibly powerful. Li Ming knew this wasn't just his imagination. This was a powerful warrior who had poured the essence of his martial arts into the writing. This was fortunate. The writer harbored no malicious intent. A master of dark arts could have permanently damaged the mind of anyone weaker who gazed upon it. Li Ming scanned it briefly. The sword technique was complex and profound, easily worthy of a 4th-level martial arts master. It comprised 9 moves. Even 3rd-level warriors could learn the initial ones, although normally only 7th-level warriors could master it. Li Ming could learn it now too, but at reduced power. The next day, early in the morning, inside the 6th gate, in the records room, Li Ming, being new to the 6th gate, often helped out here due to his lack of experience and was fairly familiar with the place. He had only handled sorting, not paying much attention to specific cases. His predecessor was solely focused on practicing martial arts and climbing the ranks. It was nearly dark, and the room was mostly deserted. Li Ming looked around, then approached the elderly clerk guarding the area. "Mr. Li, wake up." "What is it?" Old man Li grumbled, clearly annoyed at being disturbed. Li Ming, unfazed, handed him a silver coin. Old man Li's face lit up instantly. "Well, if it isn't Li Ming. What brings you here?" "Looking for files, records of disappearances and sudden deaths over the years." Li Ming explained. "That's a lot of documents." The old man mumbled. "Plus, you need a bronze badge or higher to access those." Old man Li frowned. "Bronze badge?" Li Ming smiled and produced one from his pocket. "When were you promoted?" Old man Li was stunned. He wasn't questioning the badge's authenticity but was surprised at Li Ming's rapid rise. He knew Li Ming had no talent or connections before. How had things changed so drastically? "What's wrong?" "Not allowed to improve myself." Li Ming grinned. "Can you help me find them now?" Right. Old man Li bustled about, searching. Soon, he'd piled up a sizable stack of files. Li Ming wasn't in a rush and began examining them one by one. Old man Li, eager to earn his money, sweated as he searched, creating a towering stack of files. "That should be most of them. I think there were more, but some idiot keeps misplacing them. I keep telling them not to." The old man's brow furrowed. He wasn't particularly skilled, but he had a good memory. Even in his old age, he remembered details well. "It's okay, let me take a look at these first." Li Ming sensed something was off but didn't say anything. He started reading, after a long while. "Is this all there is?" Li Ming frowned. Most of the files contained the same information. Either the individuals were convicted of involvement with a demonic organization or were simply listed as missing and the case closed. Those are the official records. However, these files have been shuffled around a lot. I couldn't guarantee the accuracy of the contents or details recorded. Old man Li said quietly. "I see." Li Ming mused, a glint in his eyes. If he remembered correctly, the Zhao family had quite a few people within the Sixth Gate, but without proof, there wasn't much he could do. He turned and left. Half a month passed quickly. Too slow, way too slow. Li Ming stood in his yard, shaking his head. Without any real leads on the ghost case, he decided to focus on his training. Things were different now. With Silver Bone and Aoki Body, he could improve simply through daily growth. His cultivation progressed smoothly and quickly. Still, Li Ming missed the joy of making improvements quickly at will. He opened his status panel to review his progress. Li Ming was pleased with the results. Name, Li Ming, 18 years old. Cultivation, 5th level of Qi training. Martial arts, Mu Zhengong, Qi training chapter. 60% mastery, Azure Dragon 9-turn blade, Condensation Gang chapter. Introduction 80%, Vajra body, 10% mastery, Daxuan Wu Sutra, body training, perfected, 3 swords of the wind, perfected. Traits, destiny, gold, silver bone, green, wisdom, green, misfortune and blessing, green, greenwood body, green, affinity for swords and blades, green. Life energy, 1000. Misfortune and blessing, green, misfortune hides within blessing, and blessing within misfortune. His Qi training was indeed very compatible with Mu Zhengong. He encountered virtually no obstacles, smoothly breaking through to the second level. However, while his income as an officer was decent, training resources were still scarce. He was also making rapid progress with the Vajra body training technique. After all, it was only a lower-level third-tier technique. Thanks to his silver bones, his physical strength was greater than before, and his knowledge about using luck had improved. When fully activated, his body appeared like a golden Buddha statue, greatly increasing his defense. Attacks from low-grade spiritual weapons would hardly cause any real damage. Of course, that also depended on the attacker's skill. The Azure Dragon 9-turn blade was more challenging. As a master-level sword technique, even the introductory level was intended for Ninggang realm warriors. However, he had roughly mastered the first 3 moves. They were incredibly powerful but drained a lot of energy. so he would only use them in critical moments. Many of his martial arts had hit a wall, and training in isolation might slow his progress. A few days ago, he upgraded his white trait, encountering disaster, to a green one. The main reason was that he felt irked by the fact that he had a white trait. However, the description of the new trait confused him. Misfortune and blessing. It seemed almost identical to the previous one. For a moment, he worried about wasting 800 life energy. He still had 1,000 life points left and wasn't in a hurry to spend them, preferring to wait for the right opportunity. For him, improving his traits was more cost-effective. It enhanced his foundation and improved his basic abilities, with plenty of immediate benefits. However, he was aware that he would need more combat abilities from time to time, and the remaining portion of his life energy could be used as a trump card. At a critical moment, he could slightly improve his sword skills or rapidly advance his cultivation several levels. It would provide his opponent with an unexpected surprise. Bang! Bang! A sharp knock interrupted Li Ming's thoughts. Who is it? Li Ming called out. Lin Ping, dressed in his officer's uniform and with a sword at his waist, walked in smiling. Brother Li, still training? I've missed you these past few days. Haven't seen you at the sixth gate lately. Lin Ping saw that Li Ming's eyes were bright and his energy was strong. He knew Li Ming's cultivation had improved greatly recently. On the path of martial arts, one must cultivate diligently to avoid falling behind. Li Ming smiled. What's up? You came to my door, what's going on? Lin Ping found a stool in the courtyard, sat down, and said, can't a brother visit for no reason? Li Ming saw that Lin Ping was in a good mood. He looked at his faceplate and knew why. His cultivation had reached the perfection stage of body training. He was one step away from breaking through to chi training. My father asked me to give you a message, Lin Ping said. What news? Li Ming asked quickly. News about Azure Dragon Chi. Any leads? Yes. Lin Ping sighed. Although Azure Dragon Chi isn't that valuable, it's rare, making it very precious. In Sanyang County, the God of Wealth Pavilion announced it will hold a talent conference, and those who perform exceptionally will receive rewards. One of the rewards is Azure Dragon Chi. It's attracted many people, including children of noble families, sects, and well-known independent cultivators. Li Ming was curious. Who's hosting this conference? How ostentatious. He wondered how the protagonists in novels encountered these martial arts conferences so easily. Did the organizers have too much money? Lin Ping explained patiently, it's called the Wealth Distribution Conference. It's held by the God of Wealth Pavilion, so they obviously aren't short on funds. The purpose is simple, to discover talent and invest a little. This builds momentum for them, lets them make friends, and promotes regional development. Why not? Build momentum? Exactly. The path to martial arts is also a path to enlightenment through concentration. Those in the God of Wealth Pavilion have special skills, and their core revolves around wealth. Using wealth to generate wealth, collecting wealth, and distributing wealth are all forms of spiritual practice. The power of the God of Wealth Pavilion is immense. To them, money is like water, but too much accumulation can be suffocating. The founder understood this, so every major God of Wealth Pavilion hosts a wealth distribution conference, throwing out a large amount of rare resources to cultivate talent. Of course, there are pros and cons. Their Taoist struggle is extremely fierce. Achieving immortality through this path is nearly impossible. Lin Ping shook his head. That's too far off. Immortals and gods are beyond us. I see. Martial arts is the foundation, but there are other paths to improvement. Li Ming was thoughtful. This was also a path to enlightenment. While less effective in combat than pure martial arts cultivators, they were more wealthy and had more ways to build suitable weapons. Lin Ping, uninterested in martial arts, found many people's lives interesting, like opening a floodgate. He continued, Xianxia City is just a county. The God of Wealth Pavilion is too small and has few talents to host such a conference. County-level events like this still attract talent from nearby areas. Lin Ping's eyes were full of longing. This time, you will be invited to the conference, here. Lin Ping took out an invitation from his bosom. It was red and had a large word wealth printed on it. On the back was the venue and time. The venue was Cangyang County, Zhangzhou. It was quite far, but judging from the time, it was not urgent. There was still about half a month. However, Li Ming had never been one who arrived on time. He should leave in advance. After all, the journey was long. If he encountered something on the way and was delayed, he would miss this opportunity. Okay, I'll leave right away. Await my good news. Li Ming said seriously. Lin Ping lamented, what a pity. I wanted to go with you, too. My cultivation has been advancing rapidly recently. I have to start to break through the Qi training realm. How unlucky, Li Ming laughed. Ordinary people would be happy if they could make progress in their cultivation. However, this guy was a man of temperament. His sadness was not a weird pretense, but he really felt it was a pity. Wait, do you know how to get to Cangyang County? Li Ming thought for a moment and said calmly, I do not know. The carriage is ready for you at the post station in the south of the city. Although the driver is just an ordinary person, he is familiar with this area. I wish you a safe journey. Lin Ping's tone was a little reluctant and envious, but more of it was a blessing. Yeah. Li Ming nodded heavily. He recognized Lin Ping as a friend, and Lin Ping wouldn't play any tricks on him. The two of them got along easily and happily. After the two parted, Li Ming walked on the way to the post station, thinking in his heart. This is the first time I have traveled far since I traveled through time, right? I heard that there are many geniuses at this conference. Even some geniuses on the list will go there, and I don't know what entries they have. Maybe I can meet some sons of destiny. Li Ming was thoughtful. See if there are any young men who have been rejected by the marriage. Maybe there will be unexpected surprises. Zhao family. Zhao Yukai was lying on the bed, covered in plaster, with only his mouth able to move. I don't accept it. It was probably Li Ming who did it, sneak attacking me. It's not fair to win. Zhao Chankong's face turned cold, and he was angry. If you had half the ability of your elder brother, you wouldn't be beaten to the point of being unable to get out of bed without knowing what he looks like. But, we still have to give Lin Xianxia face. If we don't take action, someone will naturally take action. I heard that this kid is investigating our Zhao family. If he tells Lin Xianxia, it will be bad. Zhao Chankong's eyes flashed sharply. He was going to settle the matter peacefully, but this kid didn't know what was good for him, so he had to get rid of him as soon as possible. Chapter 17, A Dark and Windy Night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It was late, the moon was bright, and the grass whispered in the breeze. In a dilapidated house deep in the woods, the crackling campfire blended with the chirping of insects, a gentle hum that didn't even begin to distract Li Ming from his practice. Bathed in moonlight, he sat cross-legged, his face serene and still. Practice brought him a deep sense of peace. They'd been traveling for days, and it was time for a rest stop. Li Ming could handle it, but his driver, just a regular guy with a sturdy build, needed to recharge. So far, the trip had gone off without a hitch. Still, a nagging feeling tugged at Li Ming. This premonition felt significant. As a practitioner of Yimu Jinong, he knew that warriors at his level often experienced such hunches. Those with destiny or high cultivation were even more sensitive. Hold on, where's Ma Lao-san? Ma Lao-san was his driver and companion on this trip. Where had he wandered off to? Li Ming opened his eyes, focusing his qi to sense the surroundings. His Yimu qi was a real asset in this wild environment. The surrounding trees, flowers, and plants practically became his eyes and ears. Then, in a flash, Li Ming's pupils constricted. A dark figure shot out of nowhere, heading straight for Li Ming at lightning speed. Dozens of yards vanished in a heartbeat. His danger sense was honed far beyond that of ordinary people. His reaction was instant, almost a reflex. He shifted his body to the right, narrowly dodging the shadow's deadly strike, but at the same moment, two more figures materialized where the first attacker had appeared, one on the left and one on the right, one large and one small. To the left stood a hulking man with tangled hair, looking like a wild dog. To the right was a girl who looked about 13 or 14, dressed in a pink dress, with porcelain skin, rosy cheeks, and striking beauty. Whoa! You actually dodged. The little girl's eyes widened in surprise, then she giggled. You're pretty good, but that's as far as you'll get. Don't get cocky. He took out Old Wu, which means he's got some real power, the burly man said in a low voice. He was the third of the blood bandits. Old Wu was the weakest of their crew, so he couldn't believe this kid had managed to take him down. He found it hard to believe, and it made him cautious. The fourth blood bandit was the one who looked like a little girl. Though she looked young, she was actually over 30. She simply practiced a special martial art that kept her looking youthful. The moment he heard the name Old Wu, Li Ming's mind clicked. Were Old Wu's buddies out for revenge? But that didn't make sense. This gang of blood bandits were notoriously ruthless and disloyal. Members came and went all the time. Word was, they started as a crew of nearly 10, he'd never heard of them going out of their way to avenge each other. There had to be another reason. Thinking this, Li Ming pushed aside the question of why they were here to kill him and focused on a new, sudden fear. Where was Blood Boss? That single moment of distraction, bang. The roof caved in, and a huge blade was aimed right at Li Ming's head. Crap. Li Ming's eyes went wide. The attack was too sudden, too unexpected. He didn't have time to react. He jerked his head to the side, barely avoiding the fatal blow of Vajra body. Instantly, Li Ming's body seemed to be coated in gold, like a Buddha statue in a temple. Clang. The blade slammed into his body, creating a deafening crash. Blood Boss's eyes bulged. Li Ming only had a bloody scratch on his shoulder, but he was otherwise unharmed. Li Ming looked at the wound on his shoulder. Too bad the knife ripped his shirt. This was the first time Li Ming had faced such a strong opponent. The man had actually drawn his blood, or, more accurately, he had seen his own blood. At that moment, the little girl, Blood Fourth, attacked again. Whiz. 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 Several cold projectiles hurtled toward him. Li Ming didn't dare to be careless. He slammed his feet into the ground, leaped into the air, and dodged backwards, narrowly avoiding them. At the same time, Li Ming noticed that the two across from him, Blood Fourth and Blood Third, were now holding sharp swords, the cold steel gleaming in the light. They charged at him with a whistling sound, like a tempest of fire and blades. The other two just watched, their intentions unclear. Li Ming's gaze sharpened. Though he wasn't sure why only two were attacking, he acted fast. He used the force from his feet to jump, avoiding the sharp edges of the two swords. Then, dropping down from above, he channeled energy through his body and swung his blade at Blood Third. A green light blazed from the knife. The Emu Chi and the Azure Dragon 9 Revolution blade were like kindling and fire, fueling each other. The blade fell, like a black hole, swallowing everything. Blood Third panicked at the sight of the ferocious blade. Crap. Why me? For a moment, he regretted being the first to charge in. Blood Third's resistance was like it trying to stop a chariot. His body was split in two, blood spraying everywhere, adding a touch of crimson to the night. Killed XXX and gained 800 life energy. Reversing fate, the whole scene unfolded too suddenly, too shockingly, leaving all the blood bandits dumbstruck. How was this even possible? Blood Fourth, the old lowly, began to cry, her face smeared with tears. No. Hero, spare my life. Her voice sounded like a 20-something girl's, soft and pitiful. Any regular young hero would probably have shown mercy, but Li Ming's sword was too fast, too ruthless. Poof. A soft sound, blood splashed, a second body fell to the ground, killed XXX and gained 1000 life energy. Activating fate reversal, Li Ming's face was emotionless, as if he'd just done something trivial. That was how this world worked. If you killed others, others would kill you. He wouldn't look down on others because of their appearance, nor would he show mercy for the same reason. You little punk. Blood Second's voice shook. This mission was supposed to be handled only by Blood Third and Blood Fourth. The two brothers just saw that the job was easy and the reward was good, so they decided to horn in on the action, and now, in the blink of an eye, 2 living people were gone. And to add insult to injury, Blood Third still owed him money that he hadn't paid back. However, seeing the ghost-like Li Ming, Blood Second couldn't help but scoot closer to Blood Boss. Second brother, this kid's bad news. Let's get out of here. Blood Boss shouted, grabbing Blood Second's arm. Blood Second was scared when he saw the boss, so he obviously didn't want to stay any longer. He turned to run. Trying to run? Li Ming asked calmly. Who sent you? Even as he spoke, Li Ming was already outside the door, blocking the escape of the two men. Name, Wei Yan, Blood Boss. Realm, Perfected Chi Training. Entries, Human Slaughter, Green, Heartless, White, Ferocious Blade, White, Survivalist, White, Iron Bones, White, Strong as an Ox, White, Ruthless Bandit, White, Underlying Illness, Gray, Impotent, Gray. Name, Zhao Taisher, Blood Second. Realm, 8th level of Chi Training. Entries, Copper Skin and Iron Bones, White. Evil Courage, White, Sharp Blade, White, Carefree, White, Self-Serving, Gray, Impulsive, Gray, Lustful, Gray, Physically Weak, Gray. Although these two were a higher level than Li Ming, he wasn't worried. What level of skill was he practicing? What kind of energy had he absorbed? Even his sword techniques were top-tier martial arts. What were they even going to fight him with? If these bandits had any of those advantages, they wouldn't have been reduced to this. Seeing that Li Ming was focused and ready to fight, Blood Boss decided to face him head-on. Kid, if you want to force our hand, don't blame us for being rude. You really think you can kill us just because you snuck up on those two losers? With that, Blood Boss retreated sharply. He knew how dangerous martial arts geniuses could be. While Li Ming obviously wasn't as skilled as them, he had survived to this day, and that was because of how cautious he was. You had to know that plenty of bandits in the Ninggang region were killed by the government or by disciples from sections. Once he perfected his Chi training, he could lead a crew and rule for a long time. That was down to his prudence. Risk his neck over some reward money? No way. But Blood Second didn't understand any of this. Seeing Blood Boss running away, he felt scornful. He charged forward, brandishing his machete and slamming it down on Li Ming. Die. You're punching above your weight, Li Ming said with a sneer. He raised his leg and kicked Blood Second in the wrist, sending the scimitar flying out of his hand and clattering to the ground. While this guy's cultivation level was high, his foundation was shaky and his chi was low quality. Too weak. Li Ming struck again, punching Blood Second in the chest. A massive force threw him 3 yards, and he finally slammed into the wall. Pooh. A mouthful of blood splattered out, and his face contorted in a grimace. Blood Second's sternum was shattered, and his internal organs were badly damaged. Killed XXX and gained 1200 life energy. Activating Fate Reversal. Li Ming shook his head. He ran away pretty fast, but... Li Ming frowned as he watched Blood Boss run off. That guy was fast. With his current foot speed, it might be hard to catch him. Then something clicked in his head. After glancing at the Fate Reversal information, Li Ming's eyes lit up and he selected one of the entries. Chapter 18, Run as fast as flying and kill the bloody bandits with a knife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Edited content. Your body feels lighter, and you're moving faster. You've definitely gotten more agile. Not a bad start, but Li Ming isn't satisfied. He can't be stuck with a plain, basic entry. Agility is exactly what I need, but it's just not good enough. Li Ming focused, and with a wave of his hand, 1,000 life points vanished. When you've got the cash, you can do what you want. He just can't settle for basic. The plain, light as a swallow, entry was replaced by a vibrant green one. It transformed into the running fast as flying, radiating green energy. Running fast as flying, green. You're way faster on your feet than the average person. This is your unique talent. Agility greatly improved. Now we're talking. Li Ming could immediately feel a surge of power in his legs. Running felt effortless, like cutting through the air. If he had a decent lightness skill, it would be even more awesome, but even now it wasn't bad. Even though he hadn't specifically trained in lightness techniques, the Yimu Jingong contained skills for boosting speed with true chi. Combined with his already strong physique, he could probably outrun warriors who specialized in speed techniques. Li Ming mentally gauged the distance. Then sprang off a massive pine tree. The cold wind whipped at him like a knife, shaking the branches and scattering leaves. Li Ming narrowed his eyes. Boss Shui wasn't slow. He'd gotten a decent head start. but he was still within range, time to hunt. Li Ming's power spiked in the dense forest. As a greenwood body, he could draw on the strength of nature. He shifted into high gear. Li Ming shot through the forest like a phantom, reaching an almost unbelievable speed. He drew his Feiyan sword, and the cold steel flashed. Boss Shui jumped, twisting around to look. His face instantly paled. No way, he's so fast. Qinglong nine-turn sword. Dragon raises its head. Li Ming burst from the trees, his eyes like black ink, overflowing with murderous intent, and swung his long sword down. Boss Shui was a seasoned fighter. He wasn't stupid enough to turn his back on an enemy. He gritted his teeth, spun around, and blocked the blow with his own sword. The swords met with a ringing clang, startling a flock of birds into flight. Boss Shui parried, trying to create some distance. He didn't want to fight. Never corner a desperate enemy. Li Ming grinned. I call it cutting the weeds and getting rid of the roots. They fought in the forest. The trees around them were shredded by the sword energy, and tall pines crashed to the ground. The forest was soon in ruins. Boss Shui was no pushover. He'd managed to make a name for himself in Sanyang County for years without getting killed, but he was already regretting things. He'd been outsmarted. What kind of information had the Zhao family given him? They'd said Li Ming was new to Qi cultivation and just decent with a sword. The reality was that this guy's swordsmanship wasn't just good, it was brutal. On top of that, he was a master of some kind of body-strengthening art. Boss Shui had tried to land a sneak attack, but couldn't even break his guard. What really pissed him off was Li Ming's agility. He was like a ghost, constantly on his heels, giving him no room to escape. Boss Shui's cultivation was higher, but it seemed like every one of Li Ming's skills was superior. He'd survived in Sanyang Prefecture for so long by knowing when to run and who to avoid. He'd gotten careless. Boss Shui struggled to stay alive, retreating and fighting. He pleaded for mercy. Don't kill me. Don't you want to know who sent us? Heh, isn't it the Zhao family? Li Ming chuckled. You. Boss Shui was stunned. Lately, Li Ming had only clashed with the Zhao family. Wu Shitting and his detectives didn't have the guts or the ability to pull something like this. Only the Zhao family, those arrogant bastards, would try to play games in the shadows. When he reached the Ninggang realm, Li Ming would settle things with them, one way or another. Li Ming channeled all his energy into Yimu Zhengong, constantly absorbing the surrounding energy. His power surged. Finally, his eyes locked on Boss Shui, and a cold light flashed in them. Seeing Li Ming's rising power, Boss Shui cried out, "Don't kill me. I have a ton of money buried somewhere. If you kill me, you'll lose a fortune. I'll be your subordinate. I'll help you deal with the Zhao family." I know a lot of things. That he'd never regretted killing people before, even the innocent. Now he regretted not recognizing the power of his enemy. He'd always been careful to avoid talented warriors. This time, he'd been led astray. You can go tell all your secrets to the King of Hell. As for the Zhao family, I'll deal with them later. You can go first. Li Ming didn't hesitate. Giving a villain like that a chance was a waste of time. Who knew if he was just stalling? And his so-called riches and secrets weren't worth anything. In a blink, he appeared in front of Boss Shui. Qinglong nine-turn sword. Third stance. Dragon turns back. Li Ming's dark hair whipped around him, and the Feiyan sword hummed. The blade glowed green, transforming into the head of a green dragon. He slashed. It was like a dragon on the attack. The blow shattered Boss Shui's red sword, and chopped off his head. Li Ming could feel that his qi was almost empty. The Qinglong nine-turn sword was powerful, but he wasn't strong enough to use it carelessly yet. Killed Wei Yan, gained 1500 life energy. Fate reversal available. Seize. He'd taken Blood Lao Si's entry. Now he could take the entries of the other three, but Li Ming stayed calm. You've been watching for a while now, show yourself. The forest went silent. The birds were long gone, leaving only the twinkling stars. After a few moments, an old and powerful voice spoke. Impressive. You've wiped out the infamous blood bandits. I didn't expect Lao Sha's energy concealment to fail. An old man appeared in front of Li Ming. He wore a brocade robe and had a weathered face. but his eyes were sharp. Li Ming took a look at his stats. Name, Qin Tianyun. Realm, 4th level of condensation. Entries, Omni-awareness, green, iron bones, white, strong, white, bloody bravery, white, physical decay, gray. Condensing gang realm, that explains things. No wonder Li Ming felt threatened. He hadn't expected to face someone so powerful. Normally, an aging warrior would be past his prime. Even if he'd reached the 4th level of Cangyang, he could be overwhelmed by a younger, stronger fighter. But the aura coming off this old man was telling him to not underestimate him. It gave Li Ming pause. I'm Li Ming from Xianxia City. Is there anything I can do for you, senior? Li Ming asked respectfully. Qin Tianyun stroked his beard and smiled. No need for formalities, young friendly. It's a great service you've done for Xianxia County, eliminating this plague. I wanted to help, but you were more than capable. He explained that he'd been drawn by the fighting and had come to investigate. The old man chatted with Li Ming for a while, then turned to leave. Li Ming watched him go, but remained on alert. Staying safe couldn't hurt. The old man probably wasn't an enemy, but it was always better to be careful. Li Ming turned back to Boss Shue's body. Time for the every traveler's duty, looting the bodies. He didn't forget about the others, either. It was a little gross, but Li Ming figured it was all money. He quickly gathered the spoils, 500 taels in silver notes, a few martial arts manuals, and a letter. The martial arts were all low-level, but some of the boxing and body techniques were interesting. Li Ming planned to learn them to fill in some gaps. The haul was a little disappointing, considering these guys were all Qi training level warriors, but Li Ming understood that no one carried all their money around. Training resources were expensive. The blood bandits probably turned their money into power, or hid it somewhere. The real prize was the life energy from killing 4 people, and whether he could find good entries. As for the letter, it made Li Ming think. It seemed like the Zhao family was just asking to be destroyed. Chapter 19, Draw the sword and look around. Where is the road? You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Blood 2 and Blood 3 entries were all trash. Li Ming grabbed one at random and refined it, getting 400 life energy. Among the Blood 1 entries, only manslaughter and strong as an ox even caught his eye. Manslaughter, green, slaughtering is your game, killing just to prove you're right. It's brutal, but not against the natural order. Killing excites you. You're easily hostile to the righteous, but the wicked will think twice. Strong as an ox, white, you were born with incredible strength. Manslaughter, a bit too devilish, doesn't really fit my vibe, so forget it. Li Ming hesitated, then passed on the green entry. He worked for the Six Gates, so his hands were dirty, but he wasn't a sadist. Killing for kicks wasn't his style. No point in going against his gut. He added the strong as an ox entry. Li Ming frowned, feeling like it didn't do much for him. Guess this white entry only matters to regular folks or those still building their strength. His physique was already way beyond average, so a basic white entry was pretty useless. Time to level up. Li Ming focused, and 900 life energy vanished as white light swirled. The old, strong as an ox, was gone, replaced by a sudden green glow. 9 oxen and 2 tigers, green. You were born with amazing strength. The power of 9 oxen and 2 tigers, boosting your strength training. Li Ming clenched his fist, feeling raw power surging within. Yeah, now that's strength. He figured he could take down a Qi training warrior with a single punch, even without channeling his true Qi. Li Ming practiced punches in the open, refining his surging blood. He was integrating his power, learning to control it. After a bit, he felt his energy and strength fuse, then he remembered why he was out here in the first place. Right, Cangyang Prefecture City. Crap. I'm screwed. He remembered the attack. The driver seemed to have been killed in the chaos, and the horse too, probably so he couldn't make a quick getaway. Damn it. Li Ming cursed. If he knew the way, he could just sprint there. It'd be faster, just tiring, but he could handle that. But while he had a map, it was full of squiggles and random marks. He barely understood it. He was worried he'd end up in another province without realizing it. He'd never been to Xianxia County in his past life, and hadn't left Xianxia City since transmigrating. His memory was way better than before. But still, he was missing GPS right about now. it was almost dawn. Ming thought for a second, and then it hit him, he took off in one direction, whoosh. Li Ming tore down the uneven road like a missile. He was moving faster than humanly possible, a gust of wind bending the plants on either side. Up in the mountains, a caravan crept along. Over a dozen carts, each bearing a banner, the banner showed a dragon and phoenix surrounding the character Qin. A fancy carriage sat in the caravan's heart, surrounded by guards, each guard was a skilled martial artist. The caravan reached a narrow mountain pass, one side dropped off into a deadly cliff, the other rose into a steep rock face, the grey path between was only wide enough for 2 rows of people and horses. A single mistake could send someone tumbling to their doom. Seeing the terrain, the experts and guards around the caravan became extra alert. The caravan moved slowly, close to clearing the pass, then, a flash of white streaked down the rock face at breakneck speed. Enemy attack, that the caravan roared, grabbing crossbows and throwing stars, anything to attack the figure, but a wave of a sleeve deflected everything, Qi turning into a protective barrier. The white figure dropped down, a god of death weaving through the crowd, cutting them down like wheat. Screams filled the air as over a dozen fell, dead or wounded. Mortals and warriors alike. It's Bai Gui, the Condensation Realm bandit. Someone recognized the attacker. The guest fighters in the caravan could no longer sit still, and headed out to fight the attacker. They were all strong men, built like tanks, each at the Condensation Realm. Unfortunately, they were too slow, they couldn't even keep up with Bai Gui. Bai Gui was unstoppable, killing anyone who stood in his way. The 3 guest fighters were pale, uselessly watching the carnage. Bai Gui, the Qin family has never wronged you. What is the meaning of this? One of the Qin family's guest fighters bellowed. If he kept this up, even if they managed to drive him off eventually, their reputation would be ruined. They were masters hired by the Qin family at great expense. If they were useless, who would ever hire them again? Bai Gui just laughed. Do I need a reason to do what I do? Your Qin family didn't offend me, but you've offended plenty of others. The white ghost didn't say anything else and continued to kill. He wasn't here to fight, he was here to kill. Looting would be nice, but it wasn't the goal. He just needed to complete his assignment. Suddenly, a figure blurred past, a pair of iron fists sounded like thunder. With unmatched strength, he punched the white ghost squarely. Bang! Caught by surprise, the punch landed on the white ghost's right arm. The white ghost reacted quickly, jumping back to create distance. Your fist carries the true meaning of wind and thunder. You must be the old ghost of the Qin family. You're still alive. The white ghost clutched his numb arm and roared, his face turning red. Qin Tianyun, the wind and thunder fist, had been a famous martial arts genius of the Cangyang Qin family. He'd been obsessed with boxing to the detriment of his cultivation. He'd been defeated in a fight years ago, ruining his foundation. He'd run into him this time. Even though Qin Tianyun's skill was rusty with age, the punch still packed a punch. Seeing the guest fighters gaining ground, Bai Gui leaped away with a few quick bounds. Puff! A cloud of blinding poison dust exploded. His figure vanished into the fog. On the mountain road, Bai Gui was furious. He didn't know how long it would take to recover from this injury. If his foundation was damaged and long-term issues remained, the money he was being paid wouldn't even cover the expenses. He started cursing, then a green dragon appeared, interrupting his words. What? Before Bai Gui could finish, the green dragon devoured Bai Gui's body, killed Bai Gui, gained 3,500 life energy. Reverse fate, can take away. Didn't expect to find a treasure like this. Killing a condensation realm warrior gives so much life energy. So cultivation level matters a lot. The person who made the move was Li Ming. He had remembered the old man Qin Tianyun and their caravan was heading to Cangyang County. Their paths were the same. Li Ming planned to catch up and follow. He had stumbled on the scene just after he'd arrived at the pass. Seeing the white ghost escape, he had followed immediately. His opponent was wounded and caught off guard. He'd really struck gold. Sadly, everything on the guy was plain white, useless to him. He could only refine it, refined successfully, obtained 400 life energy. Did this guy not have anything with him? Li Ming was a little annoyed. Why didn't he carry at least a few coins? Who was he sending it all to? Chapter 20 Cangyang County City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sun beat down relentlessly, the Qin family's caravan trudged along the road to Cangyang County. The caravan guards were deep in conversation. Who do you think is behind this attack? Hiring those foreign devils to go after the Qin family. A young guard wondered aloud, a middle-aged guard shrugged. Probably just a competitor. Maybe, but think about who's in charge this time. There are plenty of folks within the Qin family who aren't happy about it. Shoo. The middle-aged guard cut him off sharply. The young guard fell silent. Then, he couldn't help but admire the rising talent, and how the young heroes were beginning to come forward. This young Master Li must be here for the Cangyang Wealth Distribution Conference. I wonder which sex genius he is. His vitality is like a raging river, his eyebrows are sharp as knives, and he carries himself like a true hero. The way he handled himself that day. He's got to be someone special. They were all frightened out of their minds when this stern young man with a sword showed up, blocking the road with the head of one of the white ghosts. At first, the Qin family trading company folks thought some kind of demon was blocking their path, but after they realized what it was, they were in shock. When Qin Tianyun heard the commotion, he stepped forward and recognized Li Ming instantly. He wasted no time introducing Li Ming to everyone in the caravan, showering him with praise. He lauded Li Ming's chivalry, courage, and heroic spirit, and laid it on thick with his words. Li Ming was a little surprised. Was he really all that? But the bottom line was that Li Ming had killed the white ghost and, in doing so, had indirectly avenged the Qin family. With everyone insisting, Li Ming naturally accepted a ride. Qin Tianyun even invited Li Ming to ride with him. It was clear Li Ming was an outsider. So, young friend, are you heading to Cangyang County for the Wealth Distribution Conference? Qin Tianyun seemed lost in thought, a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. That's right, Li Ming confirmed. I'm curious, where are you from? You've got some impressive skills. I can't quite place your style. Qin Tianyun couldn't help but be curious. He knew most of the young masters around, but Li Ming's face was unfamiliar, and his swordsmanship was clearly top-notch. It must be from a notable family, he finished. Just a constable from Xianxia city. Nothing special, Li Ming replied. He saw no reason to hide his identity. He hadn't done anything wrong, and his background was easily verifiable anyway. I'm just hoping to snag something at the conference, Li Ming added. Qin Tianyun was surprised. Could it be that things had changed so much while he'd been out of the loop? A simple county constable, capable of defeating an enemy far above his level? Were the times really changing that fast, or was he just an old man out of touch? Xianxia city, huh? Seems like that place really is blessed. Qin Tianyun seemed to remember something, a look of understanding washing over him. There was that world-famous constable from that little town back in the day. You might even be a rival for Li Xiaoyu. He was, of course, referring to Li Ming's uncle, Zhao Xuanwu. Li Ming smiled wryly. You flatter me, Senior Qin. The path ahead was uncertain, and even he couldn't be sure he wouldn't stumble along the way. Too many talented individuals died young. Plenty of self-proclaimed warriors thought they were unparalleled when they were young. Then, after they experienced the real world, they soon learned that they were not worthy of mention. People with weak will may even lose their martial arts skills. Even if some people still do whatever it takes to become stronger, they will be quickly surpassed by those unreasonable geniuses. Changing the subject, the two continued their conversation. Seizing the opportunity, Li Ming asked, any idea why that white ghost was targeting the Qin family? He was puzzled. While the white ghost was a 7th-grade condensation realm warrior, he was somewhat well known in the Cangyang County area, but the Qin family had plenty of skilled protectors on this trip. Qin Tianyun sighed. Normally, I wouldn't air dirty laundry, but I don't think you're the gossiping type, so I'll tell you. Besides, it's hardly a secret anymore. The head of the Qin family, well, he failed to reach the master realm, damaging his foundation and leaving him with injuries that just won't heal. Now, everyone's scrambling for power, forming factions, and even hurting the family's interests. It's a joke. Qin Tianyun hadn't wanted to get involved, but he couldn't stand by and watch. The family head's daughter was managing this particular business venture. These schemers didn't want to be too ruthless. They just wanted to tarnish her reputation and isolate her. As an upright person, he couldn't stand by and watch them resort to such underhanded tactics. Plus, he had a long-standing friendship with the current head of the Qin family, who had entrusted him with this task. Li Ming didn't pry further. The lure of interest was so great that familial ties meant nothing. Being born into a wealthy family wasn't always a blessing. But it was none of his business. Li Ming also explained why he'd been traveling alone. After hearing Li Ming's story, Qin Tianyun nodded. In that case, why don't you stay with the Qin family as a guest? The conference isn't for a few days yet. It will be a chance for the incompetent disciples of my Qin family to learn from you. Consider it repayment for killing the white ghost. If you're offering, I'd be glad to accept. Li Ming wasn't about to refuse. He wasn't about to waste money on a hotel when he didn't have to. The Qin family was a reputable business. He'd heard about them in Xianxia city. It was not a dangerous place. Besides, after their conversation, Qin Tianyun seemed pretty straightforward, not to mention he's not paranoid, so it made the decision even easier. And in this trip, he had made friends with the Qin family. It was beyond Li Ming's expectations. Could it be that every cloud has a silver lining? Is so weird? Li Ming murmured. Getting lost during the attack was a disaster, while making friends was a blessing. Xianxia County City was huge. It seemed at least 10 times larger than Xianxia City. The city gates were bustling with people coming and going. Li Ming followed the Qin family caravan into the city without any problems. After talking with Qin Tianyun, he had a basic understanding of the city. He would be here for a few days. After all, the streets were packed with pedestrians. Compared to Xianxia City, the county seat was far more lively, especially at night, after entering the Qin family estate. No one gave him any trouble. After all, Qin Tianyun was a respected figure within the family. As a distinguished guest, he was assigned a beautiful wing with a beautiful environment. The maid showed him to his room, bringing with her fresh fruit and food. Li Ming noticed the meat was high quality. It seemed to be low-level exotic beast meat. It was a tremendous aid to warriors. Li Ming was impressed by the Qin family's hospitality. He'd have to remember this favor. If you need anything, just let me know. You're free to roam around, except for a few restricted areas. If you're looking for Master Qin Tianyun, you can always find him. With that, the maid left. Li Ming was alone in the house. The house was well kept and there was no weird smell. There was a faint scent of sandalwood. The furniture was all new. It was far better than the small house he lived in before. Is this the family's excess? Capitalism with a sugar coating. But I'm enjoying it. Li Ming decided to work hard over the next few days. He hoped to gather enough life energy to upgrade the blue entry before the conference. He'd naturally accept a 6-door mission in Xianxia County. Lin Qianqing had already contacted Lu Tian, the chief constable of Xianxia County. So it shouldn't be a problem.